Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Torrance Today. This is Torrance City Cable's special Election Day coverage. I'm Christine Lee and we will be here for the next 2 hours updating you as we get results from our local races. Polls just closed across the city and we are eagerly awaiting the results. There are a lot of changes coming tonight. Torrance residents will elect a new mayor for the first time in nearly a decade. They will also be selecting city council members for districts 1, 3, and 5. We may be welcoming a new city treasurer, and city clerk Rebecca Poirier is expected to continue serving our city in her current position as she ran unopposed in tonight's race. Then, of course, there is Measure SST. If passed, the half-cent sales tax increase will provide $18 million of funding for essential local programs. We have team coverage from our reporters who will be updating us throughout the night on key races. Colleen Farrell, Lauren LaBruna, and Kirk Lines are standing by throughout the city, but first, let's take a deeper dive into the mayoral race. There are two mayoral candidates on tonight's ballot, George Chen and Cliff Newmark. Councilmember George Chen was first elected to the Torrance City Council on June 5, 2018. During that same month, City Council adopted an ordinance establishing by-district elections for City Council offices, and Chen was elected to become the first council member representing District 2 on March 3, 2020.
Some accomplishment and progress we achieved while in office are: for public safety, we introduced the Electronic Neighborhood Watch, Your Neighbors app, where the police department can capture crime on video doorbell cameras and put criminals in jail. Supported year-round coyote trapping, adopted an anti-camping ordinance, along with establishing temporary shelter as part of the integrated plan to address the homeless in our community. We provided services to our community during COVID-19 pandemic while helping businesses operate, such as outdoor dining and financial aid. For the youth, I introduced the USA Water Polo team to rent and train at the TUSD Aquatic Center as they were preparing for 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympics. LA Galaxy signed a 7-year lease of the former Toyota Sports Complex, now called LA Galaxy Sports Complex. And progress for seniors and those with disabilities, enhanced transportation with the option of using discounted Lyft or Uber.
Chen has lived in the South Bay since the late 1960s and has called Torrance home since 1992. Chen is a UCLA graduate with a degree in electrical engineering. Before joining the city council, he worked at Raytheon, formerly Hughes Aircraft Company, for 33 years. He worked on electronic warfare and airborne fire control systems in both system engineering and program management. During his time as a city council member, Chen has served as the chair of the Strategic Plan Committee and as a member of the Employee Relations and Public Safety Committee and the Financial and Governmental Operations Committee. He is also a board member representing Torrance in the South Bay City's Council of Government. Chen envisions Torrance as the Silicon Valley in the South Bay and supports business and technology innovation. He's also passionate about creating new opportunities for young Torrance athletes to excel. Chen and his wife are active members at their church in Torrance and says he is grateful to be living the American dream as an immigrant from Taiwan. Councilmember Chen is running against former Councilman Cliff Newmark. Here is a closer look at his time with the city of Torrance. Businessman, former council member, and elected El Camino College trustee Cliff Newmark is running for mayor because he says he loves our community and believes his proven leadership, financial stewardship, and history of community service can help during this critical time.
Torrance is at a crossroads. We have the 4th worst fiscal health of any California city. Projecting to lose millions, city staff has recommended cutting 50 public safety positions. We need to change direction. In 14 years in elected office and 24 years of professionally leading teams, I have a track record of accomplishments, including spearheading the city's Seniors Don't Be Scammed program and driving the Energy Efficiency Initiative. In the private sector, I led the expansion of convalescent plasma, which treated tens of thousands of COVID patients. Previously, I led the National Red Cross Blood Donation Program, overseeing 2,000 team members to help save millions of lives. As a councilman, I helped the city get through the Great Recession with $50 million in reserves. At El Camino, the school has its best financial condition in a decade. In the private sector, I've improved performance by hundreds of millions of dollars. I started serving the city in 1999 as a cable TV commissioner, initiating this program, Open Mic Night, to bring government closer to you. Over 2 decades, I've served a dozen nonprofits, including the Torrance Symphony, Go for Broke National Education Center, and as a Cub Scout den leader.
Newmark, a Torrance native, grew up near North Torrance. He and his wife not only are homeowners, but are business owners as well in Torrance. They're proud to say their children have come through the Torrance Unified School District. Newmark has launched programs for disadvantaged students, initiated a curbside recycling program, and advised small companies. He grew up as a son of teachers, got his bachelor's degree at Pomona College, followed by a Master of Science at the University of Sussex Engineering School. Newmark also earned a Master in Public Affairs from Princeton University and a law degree from UC Berkeley on scholarships before returning home to Torrance. Newmark was elected twice to the Torrance City Council and is now serving his second term as an elected El Camino College Board of Trustees member. He currently works as the Chief of Marketing for Vitalant, a national blood and transfusion company. Previously, Newmark was the National Senior Vice President for the American Red Cross, and before that, he was CEO of the American Red Cross Southern California Blood Bank. He also has a background in business consulting for technology companies and in public affairs. Well, as we wait to see how the voters decide on the mayoral race, 4 candidates are running to represent Council District 1, representing North Torrance. This district has roughly 25,000 residents and borders several cities, including Gardena and Redondo Beach. Here to tell us more about the candidates in this region is Kirk Lines.
Thank you, Christine. I am here at North High, located in District 1, which comprises about 3 square miles of our city. It is known by Torrance residents as North Torrance. Now, this year's race has 4 candidates, as you said, running for 1 seat. Each of them is highly qualified, and each is no stranger to the community. First, we have Jimmy Gow. He is an operations manager who sits as chair of the Torrance Social Services Commission, as well as president of the Torrance Democratic Club. He previously served on the Cable TV Advisory Board here in Torrance. Gow's platform is one of public safety, improving public spaces, especially parks, and stabilizing the city's finances. Next, we have Dave Zeigelbaum. Since 2007, he has represented the people of Los Angeles as a deputy district attorney. Here in Torrance, he was unanimously appointed as the city council, by the city council as an airport commissioner in 2018. And is a member of the Torrance Emergency Response Team, as well as a Neighborhood Watch block captain. His platform is built on the issues of public safety, homelessness, infrastructure, and economic growth. Then we have John Kaji. He's a small business owner. Kaji served as commissioner for the State of California Commission of Economic Development. He was also a former member of the County of Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, as well as director of the State of California Office of Trade and Investment in both Tokyo and Seoul. His platform is about improving public safety, expanding park spaces, strengthening the local economy, and putting families first. Lastly, we have David Kartsonis. He is a small business owner here in Torrance who served as a past board member and president of the El Camino College Foundation, as well as the El Camino College District Bond Oversight Committee. He was also appointed to the Parks and Recreation Committee here in Torrance and served as planning commissioner. His platform is one of public safety, economy and city budget, homelessness, open spaces, the addition of a Metro Green Line, and refinery safety. Now, with 4 highly qualified candidates vying for this 1 seat, this surely will be an interesting race. And as always, every vote counts. So if you are watching this broadcast, we surely hope you have either dropped off a ballot, mailed one in, or visited one of the local polling places here in Torrance. For now, stand by. We'll have more stuff coming for you. And I'm Kirk Lines reporting for Torrance City Cable. Christine, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirk. As Kirk said, every vote does matter indeed. And just a few weeks ago, we met a North High teen who cast his very first vote on his 18th birthday right here at the Torrance Civic Center. CitiCABLE's Lauren LaBruna has the story.
Jonah Hirata is celebrating his 18th birthday in a special way. He's casting his ballot for the very first time.
I've been excited to vote for so long. I've always been looking forward to it. And so today is like the first day I can vote. And so I'm really excited to do my part in democracy. Someone I admire has always said that democracy is not a spectator sport. And I really believe that. And I'm really excited to get involved.
His classmate Emily Hettinger says high school students who are not quite 18 can still take steps to prepare for future voting days.
So actually, when you're 16, you're eligible to pre-register to vote. So that way, as soon as you turn 18, you're ready to go and you can vote. And I think it's important to learn about the issues and to be ready to vote before it's time, so that you don't waste any time once you are eligible. Even if you're not 18, your voice still matters and you can still be heard.
High school students involved in student government say exercising their rights on campus is another great way to show they care.
I recently got Commissioner of Academics at North High School on ASB. So I just believe that by allowing yourselves to change things not only in your school, but your community, it provides a positive impact for all of society. And I just believe that more students should get involved.
I think it's important to vote because as young people, we are basically the future. We're going to be the ones who decide how Torrance is going to be or how just our local area is going to be.
These passionate students share a similar message with voters.
Democracy only works when we all participate in it and when everyone's voice is heard. And the only way for that to happen is for us all to vote.
Each person has to do their part. I know that voting is really important to make sure your voice is heard. And so I've been really excited to vote, and I'm excited to be a part of democracy.
As they say, your voice matters, and every vote cast in tonight's election will determine the future of our city. For more information on voting here in Torrance, visit torranceca.gov/elections. I'm Lauren LeBruna with Torrance City Cable.
Covering two council districts for us tonight, Districts 3 and 5. District 3 represents more than 23,000 people in the heart of the city, including the Civic Center and our City Cable building, as well as the Del Amo Fashion Center, the Torrance Refining Company, the LA Galaxy Sports Complex, and the highly anticipated Transit Center. Lauren, tell us more about the two candidates.
Good evening, Christine. As you share, District 3 is a very special place here in Torrance, noted the home of City Hall and the Madrona Marsh, and both candidates in this district are new to elected positions here in Torrance. Candidate Lauren Kartner grew up in the South Bay and attended South Bay High School as well as El Camino College. She worked for Garrett Automotive through college until she joined Sergeant Controls. Her passion for government actually began in high school with the JCs in Redondo Beach, which is a leadership and civic position. If you guys are hearing some noise here, I'm actually at a fire station locally here in Torrance, being a part of the community. Kartner raised her two children in Torrance, and they attended high school as well. And her oldest son is a resident of Torrance. As a candidate, Kartner advocates for a balanced, safe, and clean city. And another candidate here is Assam Sheikh. He has been a resident of Torrance for 13 years. He actually grew up in Pakistan and came to the United States, and what he said was fulfilling the American dream. He is a senior financial analyst, and he's worked for the American Honda Company for over 25 years. Throughout his career, he audited many companies and provided compliance guidelines to successful operations across the country. He's involved in the Torrance community and in various ways, and he is currently the chair of the Torrance Planning Commission. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Sheikh actually helped lead an effort to fundraise for 50,000 masks for the Torrance Unified School District students. And after collecting that, he actually urged another campaign, which they donated 50,000 masks to city staff in Torrance. He says the city of Torrance helped him live the American dream, and he hopes to bring his professional and business expertise to the city of Torrance. That's it for now. We'll have more updates as they come. Back to you, Christine.
Thanks, Lauren. And now on to District 5, which covers more than 23,600 residents in South Torrance, down to the beach and bordering Palos Verdes. This is also the home to Candy Cane Lane, the Hillside, and the Sea Air Golf Course. Lauren, what does this race look like?
Right. And so as I mentioned, I'm actually at a fire station here in District 5. And it is South Torrance. This race is the first time actually District 5 will have an elected official specific to this area. The first is incumbent that you mentioned, Aurelio Matucci. Matucci has served on the city council since 2018. He is currently chair of the Transportation Committee and a member of the Strategic Plan Committee. He has lived in Torrance since 1977 and cites public safety, homelessness, and cleanliness as some of his key issues. When Matucci first joined City Council in 2018, he was credited with revising the Coyote Management Plan. Part of his efforts over the last 4 years include planting more than 7,000 drought-resistant trees in empty parkways, increasing efforts to pick up illegal dumping and abandoned shopping carts, and creating open lines of communication via a City Council email. Matucci hopes to represent the people of Torrance again to protect the quality of life and create a safe city. Also running for City Council is Jean Adelsman. She is a longtime resident of Torrance, and she's a retired college professor and journalist. She had an incredible career. A few places that she worked was the Chicago Sun-Times, the Detroit Free Press, and right here in Torrance at the Daily Breeze. She was involved in numerous nonprofits in Torrance and received the Katie Geiser Excellence in Arts Award from the Torrance Arts Commission. She cites city finances and public safety as key issues. And she shared that just like she did in journalism, where she was interacting people and engaging, she wants to continue to do that and hopes to become a representative for the city of Torrance. As I shared, we'll have more updates as they come in through the night. I'm Lauren LaBruna. Back to you.
Thanks again, Lauren. Now, one position that was uncontested was that of the city clerk, and CitiCABLE's Leslie Robbins introduces us to the woman who reclaimed her spot to serve our city in this special way.
Hello. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Rebecca Poirier. I have had the honor to be your city clerk for almost 8 years.
And she'd like to keep it that way for another 4 years. Yes, Torrance's Rebecca Poirier is throwing her hat into the political ring again to stay right where she is. The good news for Poirier is that she is running unopposed, so it's safe to say, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the city clerk position is hers if she wants it. But she does still want your votes. Poirier began her career in municipal government with the city of Buena Park in 1997, followed by 9 years of experience in the city clerk's office in Redondo Beach. She worked for the city of Torrance as the deputy city clerk from July 6, 2009 until she was elected city clerk on June 3, 2014. That's well over 2 decades in the city clerk profession. So what exactly does a city clerk do? In short, this position is the keeper of Torrance's official records, the one charged with making sure the minutes and meetings get posted, and that role is tasked with coordinating all aspects of elections. And since she's held the position in Torrance, her accomplishments are long.
We implemented GovQA to manage Public Records Act requests. Requests may be made 24/7 via our Public Records Request portal. Last year alone, we processed 1,925 Public Record Act requests. We implemented NetFile for conflict of interest and campaign statement filings. This allows members of the public to review campaign statements within minutes after they are filed. We implemented an electronic records management system called Laserfish. The Laserfish public portal opened in January 2021. Residents can research city records from the comfort of their home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To date, we have more than 59,000 city records, which includes agenda packets, city council minutes, commission minutes, ordinances, resolutions, and contracts. Collaborating with the Community Development Department, their Laserfish public portal opened this year, allowing building records to be searched online. We implemented an online commission certification training, which has increased participation from residents in the commission applicant process. We implemented contract insurance tracking via Laserfish, streamlining a paper-driven process. Collaborating with the city manager and the city attorney's offices, we successfully redistrict based on the 2020 census. The city's records retention schedule is updated annually to ensure the city is following all current laws regarding records retention. You may have noticed I use the word we instead of I. I couldn't accomplish all the goals I set for the city clerk's office without my very talented team, as well as my extended team, all the departments in the city which comprise Team Torrance. I am running for city clerk because I have not yet finished all the goals I set for myself when I first ran in 2014. I would like to continue streamlining processes, bringing technology into the office.
And while that list of accolades may be extensive, Poirier wants to make it even longer with the goals she hopes to reach during the next term, should she be reelected. She wants to continue to automate the office with an electronic agenda routing software system, bring an electronic signature policy for approval by City Council, and automate the contract routing system. All the while, the mission of the city clerk's office remains the same, to balance the public's need to know with the individual's right to privacy.
In closing, thank you for listening. Even though I am running unopposed, I humbly ask you to vote for me. I appreciate your trust to lead the city clerk's office. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rebecca, on your anticipated win tonight, and thank you for continuing to serve our city. Quite contrary to this is the race for city treasurer. This position has the most number of candidates at 5. CitiCABLE's Colleen Farrell is out at City Hall with the latest on this race. Colleen.
That's right, Christine. There are a total of 5 candidates vying for the position of city treasurer. And this at a time when the city has faced a number of financial challenges with COVID-19 and a cyber incident that disrupted city services back in 2020. And doing some research on what the role involves, it actually is not so much of an accounting role, rather one that involves receiving and depositing all monies that come into the city. The city treasurer is also responsible for the investment of idle funds. So let's take a look at the candidates running for this position, starting with Dana Cortez, the incumbent. She has been the treasurer since 2010, deputy treasurer for 10 years, and she was on extended medical leave in 2018 and returned in 2020 to a hybrid situation. She has intentionally not collected any endorsements, which she has said is to avoid the appearance of anyone having any influence over her that would pose a conflict of interest. And she says her duty is to the people of Torrance. And she expressed during the League of Women Voters debate that she is not in favor of Measure SST, the Public Safety and Essential Services measure. Next, we have Mike Griffiths, and he has served 8 years on the City Council. He was founder and CEO and CFO of Micron Computer Systems for 14 years, which he sold that business in 2000. He's been a resident of Torrance for more than 3 decades and raised his family here. He served on the Planning Commission, Environmental Quality Commission, and served as a board member of the YMCA and Salvation Army, and he has come out in support of Measure SST. Following that, we have Tim Goodrich, and he is a U.S. Air Force veteran, former city council member who resigned prior to the end of his term. He has had a career in risk management, a master's in public administration from USC, and a bachelor's degree in business administration. He was instrumental in forming the Downtown Torrance Revitalization Initiative, which has helped create hundreds of tech jobs in town. He has come out in favor of ballot measure SST, and his approach, if he should win this seat, he spelled out with the acronym CPR, which C standing for conducting an independent audit of the office, P for professionalizing the position with minimum qualifications, and R reducing the salary of the position. He also is in favor of Measure SST. G. Rick Marshall is the only candidate who has taken a strong position against Measure SST. He says instead of raising more money, the city needs to recalibrate its spending. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, and he and his family have been Torrance residents for more than 3 decades. He worked as an IT consultant and software developer, vice chair of the Water Commission, chair of the Planning Commission, and served as vice president of the California Taxpayers Action Network. And last but not least, our final candidate is Melissa Wright, and she is a Torrance native and attended Narbonne High School. She also raised her family here in Torrance. She says she spent most of her entire career working in some capacity of finance, working her way up at McDonald's to manage the books there. And she served in financial roles for the PTA at Seaside Elementary, Cali Mayer Middle School, and South High School. She also served as CFO of Cabled Wright, her husband's electrical contracting company, and she has come out in favor of Measure SST. That's a quick rundown of our candidates. We'll check back with you again later as the votes are tabulated. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you so much, Colleen. We're looking forward to seeing how this race pans out. Another very important item on our ballots tonight was Measure SST. Here are some details about what this measure is and how it can affect our city. One of the important measures being voted on tonight is the Torrance Public Safety Services Measure, better known as SST. City leaders introduced, approved, and adopted Measure SST back in February to appear on tonight's ballot, asking voters to approve a half-cent sales tax increase. City officials say implementing this half-cent sales tax increase could generate up to $18 million for the city to fund its local services. If passed, the measure would help maintain city services such as fire, paramedic, public safety, and emergency 911 responses. It would also protect local drinking water sources and keep coastal waters from pollution, keep parks and public areas clean and safe, allow for street and pothole repairs, support the police and fire departments to maintain critical services to keep the community safe, maintain senior services, and help to keep libraries open. The added funds would also help address the city's ongoing homelessness issues and much more. Like many California cities, the cost of maintaining our high-quality city services continues to go up, and it's currently exceeding the city's available revenue. This was true before COVID-19, but the pandemic has made the problem much worse. City Manager Aram Shaparian and I shared a conversation earlier this year about our new reality and how the city could become vulnerable to an emergency or unforeseen major expenses.
We are accustomed to earthquakes. Anytime there's a major natural disaster, that's an eventuality which impacts our revenue. However, we can't shut down the services of the city. We have to continue to provide. There's concerns with the fluctuation in the stock market. I know there's inflationary challenges that we're facing now, as well as the potential changes in the housing market. We've been experiencing significant price increases in housing. Those are all vulnerabilities that the city has to address, and the uncertainties are the new certainty.
If approved, the sales tax in Torrance would go from 9.5% to 10%, putting it in line with neighboring cities. That half-cent tax would equate to adding 50 cents to a $100 purchase. Essentials such as groceries and prescription medication would be exempt from this tax increase. Torrance is one of the few cities in LA County not collecting a locally controlled sales tax. As a result, most of the sales tax collected in Torrance goes to LA County and the state of California. If passed, 100% of Measure SST funds will stay in Torrance to maintain the local services we currently provide. For more information on Measure SST, visit torranceca.gov/election and click on Measure SST information. What makes tonight particularly exciting is the fact that the fate of our city depends on our voters. And Lauren Nebruna caught up with some Torrance voters at a local brewery to ask why it's important for them to perform their civic duties.
Since 1921, the year Torrance was incorporated as a city, residents have been casting their votes, helping to create the city of Torrance we know and love today.
It's important because you're going to have a say in who's going to be in office, and they're going to have a say in what policies are going to be in effect. Locally, it really, really matters. So you have a lot more power than you think, and that's why voting is important.
Torrance resident Jebin Jacob says voting is a fundamental right that every eligible American should exercise.
It's very important to vote because voting is the foundation of a solid democracy. It's your civic duty to make your voice heard, know how you feel about matters and issues that are up for a vote.
Local voters say the power of making your voice heard starts with voting.
Voting is very important because it's a pivotal ground just for change, for any change that you want to do, whether it's on the local level, the community level, or even all the way up to the top of the president. It's essential to do it on the local level, because without the local level, nothing's going to change above that. And that's where the most change happens, is at the local level. So voting is very important. Go vote. If you haven't done it already, I promise you it's going to help.
Some voters share how personal history plays a role when it is time to go to the ballot box.
Coming from an immigrant family and being minorities, it's important to make sure that our perspectives are being represented.
The representation of Americans in general versus the people that are already in power.
We're evolving as a society, and so everybody should have their voices heard no matter what their background is.
Opinions matter, opinions will create change, change creates a better world.
To learn more about the local election process, visit torranceca.gov/election. I'm Lauren LaBruna with Torrance City Cable.
Thank you to everyone who made their voices heard tonight by voting. And thank you at home for tuning into this special broadcast of Torrance Today. We will continue to stand by for the results and keep you updated at the top of the hour or sooner if a projected winner has been called for any of the races here in our city. We appreciate you joining us at this late hour. See you again soon. Good evening and welcome back to a special edition of Torrance Today. This is Torrance City Cable's special Election Day coverage. I'm Christine Lee. It is 10 p.m. on Tuesday, June 7th. The votes are coming in right now. Here are the latest results as of 10 o'clock. It looks like our city clerk, Rebecca Poirier, is leading. Again, we had told you that she is unopposed in this election, and we have just over 11,000 votes cast for her as of 10 p.m. Let's go to our next race. Here is the mayoral race. Right now, it seems Councilman George Chen is leading slightly with 55% of the vote, 7,714 votes. Former Councilman Cliff Newmark has just over 6,200 votes. Again, these are results as of 10 p.m. Next, we have the race for city treasurer. Again, this is the one with the most number of candidates. And as of right now, former Councilman Tim Goodrich is leading the race at 27.75% with 3,675 votes. And Councilman Mike Griffith is behind with about 3,200 votes. We have live team coverage right now with our reporters out across the city covering tonight's election. Let's go to Colleen Farrell. She has been watching the city treasurer race closely. Now, Colleen, tell us about this race and about these two top contenders for this election.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, there have been 5 contenders vying for the seat of treasurer this time. And it's looking like Tim Goodrich is in the lead. He is the U.S. Air Force veteran, former city council member who resigned prior to the end of his term. And he has had a career in risk management. He has a master's degree in public administration from USC and a bachelor's degree in business administration. Now, his approach, if he should win as treasurer, he calls it the CPR approach. It's an acronym and it stands for conducting an independent audit of the office, professionalizing the position with minimum qualifications, and reducing the salary of the position. And he has come out in favor of Measure SST. And behind Goodrich is Mike Griffith, who of course has been a council member for 8 years, and he is the founder and CFO and CEO of Micon Computer Systems, and where he served for 14 years, and he eventually sold that business. He has been a resident of Torrance for more than 3 decades and raised his family here. And he also served on the Planning Commission and Environmental Quality Commission and served as a board member for the YMCA and Salvation Army. And he, of course, also supports Measure SST. So that's a look at our front runners at this point, and we'll keep you posted as the evening continues and as the votes continue to be tabulated. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you so much for that, Colleen. I know you're going to be following up on this race very closely. Now let's take a look at some of the other races and some of the votes that are coming in right now. We're taking a look at City Treasurer, that's right. We are going over to the next race now for District 1. This is representing North Torrance, and as of 10 o'clock, John Kaji seems to be leading the race at 44.49%, just under 1,000 votes. Representing District 1 is Kirk Lines. Now, Kirk, tell me a little bit more about John Kaji and his fight to represent North Torrance, as well as Dave Ziegelbaum is just right behind, 520 votes as of right now.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Yeah, I would quick to point out here that I still consider this a close-ish race. And at the top of the broadcast, we spoke about these 4 candidates, all of them highly educated, all of them very committed to this community, very experienced and very well endorsed. So it's no surprise that there's a bit of a dogfight here. And yes, Kaji is got a bit of a lead here. We'll see how we will monitor that. What we know about John Kaji, let's see. He is a lifetime resident of the South Bay, graduated Gardena High, graduated USC. He's a local businessman here in Torrance. And, his platform is not all that different from the other candidates. Another reason why I think you're seeing a close race here. He really wants to improve public safety, and his big issue is the refinery and some of the issues that we've had there. He wants to expand parks and public spaces. North Torrance is a little challenging. and he wants to improve that. Strengthen the local economy, that's his businessman side, I would imagine. And then putting families first, is very much focused
You're good.
on senior citizens. So I don't think that this race is over yet. We're going to keep you posted on everything. One thing I would like to mention, he's got some very interesting endorsers, one of them being George Chen, another Mike Antonovich, who used to be an LA County supervisor. And are you ready for this one? George Takei. That's right. Mr. Sulu from Star Trek endorses John Kaji. So we'll keep tabs on this and keep you posted on everything. Colleen, back to you. Excuse me, Christine, back to you.
That's all right, Kirk. Thank you so much for the latest in North Torrance. And now let's continue taking a look at the race going on. Here is District 3. It seems like Assam Sheikh is leading the race at 57.74%, just over 1,000 votes, with Lauren Cotner behind at 42.26%, 756 votes as of 10 p.m. And I believe our Lauren Labruna is out right now. Lauren, tell me the latest about this race for District 3.
Yes, hi Christine. I'm here right now with Assam Sheikh, who is the projected winner of District 3. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. As of 8:42, it's pretty promising, but I think it's still a long way to go, but I'm very hopeful.
Right, and so if you do end up being the projected winner and the city councilman, what would be your first order of business?
My first order of business, I want to thank the Torrance. That will be my order, to thank every single person I met. I made a lot of friends. I want to thank my volunteers. I want to thank my wife, my daughter. And I think it's an amazing, amazing run so far. And I made so many friends, and some of the friends basically opened their houses for me, and they asked me, Assam, come inside the house. And they offered me drink, they offered me food. It was a humbling experience. So I'm going to go back and thank every single one of them if I can.
And you worked with the American Honda Company for over 25 years, and you really shared that you have extensive business expertise and professional expertise. How would you bring that to this sort of role?
As you guys know, that Torrance is going through a financial crisis. So my role is basically to take on the challenges that we're facing at the moment, and hopefully use some of my experiences with financial background, with also accounting, some of the expertise, and take on some of the tasks and work with the economic development department. And that's my goal number one, to understand what the economic development department does. And I'm gonna work with them and have them to understand what exactly, how we're gonna collaborate and bring businesses to the city of Torrance and bring the quality of life for our city.
Well, thank you for taking the time. We'll keep an eye out for updates on District 3. Back to you in the studio, Christine.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And don't go anywhere just yet, Lauren, because I know you have been hustling tonight covering 2 council districts, 3 and 5. And let's take a look right now at the results that are coming in for District 5. We have H. Gene Adelsman at 52.28%, leading the race so far. This is a tight one, 1,570 votes so far, against our councilman Aurelio Matucci at 47.72%, just over 1,400 votes. Lauren, this is a tight race here for District 5.
Hi, Christine. That's right. I am still in District 3 with Assam Sheikh, but there are updates on District 5, and we will continue to monitor them as they come. I'm going to be heading over to another party shortly, and we'll have an update for you guys when I can. Thank you.
We're sending you all over the city. Thank you so much for covering both of those council districts for us tonight. And let's see what other results we have going on right now. It is exciting to see so many votes pouring in just a couple of hours after polls have closed. Here is the Measure SST results as of right now. It seems like there is a yes vote, 59.08%. More than 8,000 Torrance residents voted in favor of passing Measure SST, and the no is currently at around 5,500 votes. Now, this is a very important measure for the city of Torrance. If it passes, here is what it means. One of the important measures being voted on tonight is the Torrance Public Safety Services Measure, better known as SST. City leaders introduced approved and adopted Measure SST back in February to appear on tonight's ballot, asking voters to approve a half-cent sales tax increase. City officials say implementing this half-cent sales tax increase could generate up to $18 million for the city to fund its local services. If passed, the measure would help maintain city services such as fire, paramedic, public safety, and emergency 911 responses. It would also protect local drinking water sources and keep coastal waters from pollution, keep parks and public areas clean and safe, allow for street and pothole repairs, support the police and fire departments to maintain critical services to keep the community safe, maintain senior services, and help to keep libraries open. The added funds would also help address the city's ongoing homelessness issues and much more. Like many California cities, the cost of maintaining our high-quality city services continues to go up, and it's currently exceeding the city's available revenue. This was true before COVID-19, but the pandemic has made the problem much worse. City Manager Aram Shaparian and I shared a conversation earlier this year about our new reality and how the city could become vulnerable to an emergency or unforeseen major expenses.
We are accustomed to earthquakes. Anytime there's a major natural disaster, that's an eventuality which impacts our revenue. However, we can't shut down the services of the city. We have to continue to provide. There's concerns with the fluctuation in the stock market. I know there's inflationary challenges that we're facing now, as well as the potential changes in the housing market. We've been experiencing significant price increases in housing. Those are all vulnerabilities that the city has to address. And the uncertainties are the new certainty.
If approved, the sales tax in Torrance would go from 9.5% to 10%, putting it in line with neighboring cities. That half-cent tax would equate to adding 50 cents to a $100 purchase. Essentials such as groceries and prescription medication would be exempt from this tax increase. Torrance is one of the few cities in LA County not collecting a locally controlled sales tax. As a result, most of the sales tax collected in Torrance goes to LA County and the state of California. If passed, 100% of Measure SST funds will stay in Torrance to maintain the local services we currently provide. For more information on Measure SST, visit torranceca.gov/election and click on Measure SST information. I think if I did my math right, there's been slightly over 14,000 votes cast so far, and so it's going to keep coming in, and we're going to update you as we get more projected winners and just more results overall. We'll give you the updated numbers at the top of the hour again, if not a little bit sooner if we're able to share with you some important updates. So thank you at home again for tuning into this special broadcast of Torrance Today. We will continue to stand by for all the results, and we will be visiting you again on your TV screens sooner than later. So thank you again so much for being with us tonight on this very important election night. We appreciate you joining us at this late hour as well. See you again soon. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Torrance Today. This is Torrance City Cable's special Election Day coverage. I'm Christine Lee. It is now 11 p.m. on Tuesday, June 7th. It's been an exciting 2 hours of bringing you live updates on our local election results as they have been coming in. Here are the latest results as of 11 p.m. First, let's take a look at the mayoral race. It looks like Councilman George Chen is leading the race still at 55.12% with more than 7,700 votes. Former Councilman Cliff Newmark is at 44.88% with just over 6,200 votes. Then there's the city clerk race. Let's take a look at that with Rebecca Poirier at 100%. Again, she was running without any opponents this year at over 11,000 votes. Now, she gets to retain her current position, and we congratulate her for that. Then there are council districts 1, 3, and 5. In District 1, with small businessman John Kaji leading the race, 44.48% with 991 votes as of 11 p.m. Our reporters have been out across the city updating us on key races, and Kirk Lyons is out at John Kaji's invite-only gathering. Kirk, it looks like you were able to get an invite too.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure when they were going to take us, and I don't want you to go too far. Okay.
I'll go this way. This is nice to open. I'm standing here with John Kaji, who, as you just said, has 44% of the vote right now. We are at Kaji headquarters, also known as.
Do you know where
Kaji
SST stands in terms of percentage of the vote?
Yeah,
60%. 60%.
That you have.
Waiting to see how the final returns turn out, but it feels good.
Feels good. Yeah, I would imagine. And you're playing it cool. One thing that has really impressed me is how remarkably calm this man is right now. I mean, he's in the middle of a race, and I think he's the coolest one in the room. So let me ask you, what made you decide to enter this race?
It was the right time for me to consider public service in a different way. I've served in different appointed positions in the past. I ran for city treasurer in Gardena. That was back in 1988. So I think I've learned a lot since then. I've gained more experience. And I think as a result, I have more to offer to the people in North Torrance.
Gotcha. Now, let's say you do end up winning this race. What does day one look like for you?
Day one, after walking about 250 miles in North Torrance, means I lie down.
Okay, fair enough. And in terms of your agenda, your platform, you ran on several things. What, a lot of stuff stuck out. I mean, there's public safety. I know that the refinery is a big issue for you. I know all here, especially in that area, is a big issue for you. Senior citizens. What are you really going to focus on mostly, you think?
I think after speaking to so many residents, the primary concern is the deteriorating infrastructure in North Torrance. Crenshaw, 182nd, Van Ness are streets that are in dire need of replacement. In addition, looking at the need for public safety, I did talk about the concept of bringing a police substation back with more frequent patrols in our neighborhoods. I think that would go a long way to reducing crimes such as catalytic thefts and car burglaries. Lastly, the lack of open space in District 1 is an ongoing concern. So I'm looking forward to working with staff and also reaching out to Southern California Edison to determine if some of the transmission lines coming from the AES plant in Redondo Beach might become available for open space.
Great. Now, I know it's no secret that Torrance has faced, as a city government, has faced some financial issues, especially since the pandemic and because of the pandemic. As a businessman, how do you attack that?
I think we have to go back to fundamentals. I am going to pursue the notion of having City Hall being fully audited, a financial audit from top to bottom. It's my contention that city funds have been misspent over the years. Balancing the budget by pulling out reserves is not a way to run a city. It's not a way to run a business. So I want to go back to fundamentals and find out what mistakes have happened in the past and for us to take corrective action.
Right. Great. All right. Well, Christine, there you have it. The man himself, John Kaji, with a 21% lead at this point. We're going to stand by, and if there's any more to keep you posted on, we will do that. But for now, back to you.
Thank you so much, Kirk. And now let's take a look at Council District 3. Assam Sheikh looks like he's continuing to lead the race with just over 1,000 votes, 57.76%. Lauren LaBruna has been busy zipping around the city, covering both Council Districts 3 and 5, and spoke with Sheikh in the last hour. Now let's take a look at District 5.
Hi, Christine. Yes, I'm here with Jean Adelsman, candidate for District 5. And we're going to share a little bit about how she's feeling tonight. So if you do end up being a city councilwoman for District 5, what would be your first order of business?
Well, the city's finances are in dire straits, and I'm hearing good news about SST. It looks like it's going to pass. But even if it passes, the council has a lot of work to do. We have a structural deficit, and my first order of business is going to be to work on getting our budget back into shape. Once we have that in shape, now you get to start talking about a lot of the other things that people care about. And while I was campaigning, I was canvassing, walking the precincts and knocking on people's doors and finding out what their concerns were. The noise from Torrance Airport ranks really high. This is the Hillside Ordinance area, District 5, and people care about their views. They care about trees. So that's a heavy duty issue. And there will be many other things I'm sure that will come across my plate if I'm elected.
And you have a very lengthy and successful career as a journalist. Some includes here at the Daily Breeze, also at the Chicago Sun-Times, and also a journalism professor. So what role, if at all, does journalism do you think will play if you are elected to city council?
So I love interviewing people. That's why I became a journalist in the first place. And campaigning allowed me to go back into my role of interviewing people. It is probably the thing I enjoyed most about this campaign. The only difference is that when you're a journalist, you don't tell people what you think. You only want to hear what they think. But the people I was interviewing wanted to know what I would do. And so I had to share my thoughts with them. And I think going on, one of my plans is that since we're now districts, that I will have a monthly meeting in the district for constituents. And that will be another chance for me to find out what people are thinking and what we need to be doing on the council.
And one last question for you. What are just overall your general feelings tonight?
You know, this has been quite an experience. Win or lose, I've met a lot of people who I will continue to have a relationship with. And I've come to learn a lot of things about the city that, as knowledgeable as I was, I learned new things. So I think going forward, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work for the nonprofits that I'm involved with if I'm not on the council. And if I am elected, then I will make use of all of this information.
Well, thank you for your time. We'll have more updates as they come from Council District 5. Back to you in the studio, Christine.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Now let's take a look at the votes that have been coming in for District 5. It looks like Adelsman is leading by 52.28% of the votes. 1,570 people have voted for her so far. Looks like our Councilman Aurelio Matucci is at 47.72% at just over 1,400 votes. Now, Lauren made it over to her election night gathering at Red Car Brewery, which you just saw, and it seems like she has been so busy covering, again, both Council 3 and 5. So thank you so much for covering those two districts. And let's move on to our next race. There we go. The city treasurer, Tim Goodrich, is leading the race at 27.75%, just over 3,600 votes, with Councilman Mike Griffiths behind at just over 3,200 votes. Again, results as of 11 p.m. And finally, Measure SST. It looks like it is still a yes from the overall vote so far. 59% of voters voted in favor of passing Measure SST. 8,054 votes for the measure and 5,574 votes saying no to Measure SST. Colleen Farrell is at the Crest Sports Bar and Grill in Old Town with a lot of familiar faces, happy with the way this race is going so far. Colleen.
Hi, Christine. Yes, there's a lot of city leaders here tonight hoping to celebrate a victory for Measure SST, which is the public safety and essential services measure. It is a half-cent sales tax, which will raise $18 million to invest in first responder officers, also maintain safe schools and prevent thefts and property crimes and address homelessness. And I'm here now with our Mayor, Patrick Fury. And tell me, this must be I know you have your cigar ready to celebrate. This is a good night for you.
It really is. Colleen, I am so excited this evening because we were told this could never be done, passing a sales tax measure. And with all the great volunteers that helped out on this campaign, we are looking really good right now at 60% to 40%. Haven't quite lit the victory cigar, but things really look good. This is the place we want to be at this time of the day.
Maybe later we don't want to set the place on fire just yet, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So tell me about SST and what specifically it will do to raise money for public service.
This is a transformative measure. This is really transformative. This will allow us to pay our firefighters, our police officers, commensurate with what they do, be in the marketplace with other agencies. We won't be losing them. We want to we want to get our firefighters and police officers and retain them, make a career here in our city. And unfortunately, with the budgetary issues that we've had, that's not been possible. And it goes throughout our entire city staff. This is important to a city to have enough funds to provide the services that people deserve, and not only deserve, that they expect. And I'm really proud. Leaving the office is difficult. I really love serving as the mayor of this community, but term limits are what they are. But this makes me feel so much better leaving the city in a good financial situation. I know our city manager, Ram Shaparian, Danny Santana, our assistant city manager, our police chief, our fire chief are very excited because they will be able to do what they know they can do professionally. We will be the shining star in the South Bay and Los Angeles County just because of this. And a lot of this is the fairness aspect, because outsiders come to our community and spend their money, and they'll be providing about a third of the money that this is for. And that takes care of our safety services. They come here and use our city, and here they're going to be paying for part of that. And our infrastructure gets beat up by people coming here. So this is a fairness thing. And we're still going to be lower. Our sales tax rate is a lot lower than other surrounding cities, and half of the communities in Los Angeles County will have a sales tax higher than ours. So I look really forward to this. I'm really looking forward to lighting this cigar a little bit later, as soon as I know it's a done deal. But in the meantime, I'm going to relish the good time and get in there with all our volunteers and celebrate as much as we can.
It sounds like the people have spoken that police and fire services are a big priority to them. It's only a half cent. Doesn't sound like much, but how is it really going to help bring the city back into the black after what it's experienced with COVID-19, the pandemic, and also the city had the cyber attack back in 2020 that devastated the computer system? How is this really going to make a dent and bring us back into the black?
$18 million is a lot of money, and $18 million will provide a lot of services. It'll allow us to in fact, just the other day, our last council meeting, we cut 37 police officers and 8 firefighters. We will immediately put them back in. So we're not going to lose those officers, and we'll be able to retain firefighters and police officers, retain city employees. And it's a total different ballgame with this. And that's what we told the citizens, and they apparently understood. And I'm so grateful to anybody who voted yes on SST. I really mean it. You got it, and you're going to benefit by it, and we're all going to benefit by it. This is my forever city. I'm not going anyplace. I might not be the mayor, but I live here, and my family lives here, and I'm so proud of the community that we have, the employees that we have working for us. I really look forward to the future of our community. It really looks bright today.
Okay, and you must be feeling a little bit melancholy tonight because this is, you're on your way out. What is next for you on the horizon?
Well, I'm going to be involved in a number of the nonprofits in our community, which is, it's a natural transition because I have so many connections in the political world, as the business world, and the community at large. So I can help those nonprofits continue on or even get better. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we can make all of those better. As I said, this is my city. I love this city so very much. It's like my child. That's why I love to brag about it. It's just, I'm so glad I found Torrance.
What are you most proud of your term?
I think getting through the COVID situation, 2 years of trying to protect people from the dastardly thing that COVID was, or still is really, making sure people had safety, and then ushering through the budgetary issues during that. It was not easy. We had to spend an awful lot of money to keep people, and we were just hopeful that the federal government would come forward and give us some money. They did. It was not enough to make us whole, but it certainly was certainly accepted, and we appreciate it. But I think that's the thing I'm most proud of, that we got through that. Challenges are I think the best part of being an elected leader is that you see the challenge and you figure a way to get through the challenge and come out on the other side. And we are coming out on the other side. And here it's even much better. Here we got a sales tax measure passed. We're seeing COVID in the rearview mirror more so than through the windshield. So I see brighter days. As I said, this is really going to be good. We'll be able to bring in more businesses to our community, hopefully find housing, take care of the homeless situation like it should be taken care of. All the problems that we have are much easier to remediate if you have funding for it. And this will allow us to have that funding.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Patrick Fury, and congratulations on what looks to be a victory for SST tonight. And we do have Tim Goodrich standing by, and it looks like he is going to be victorious for the treasurer role. And we're going to have him step in here and ask him a couple of questions. Thank you so much, Patrick Fury. Hi there. How are you? Let's have you back up a little bit because you're a tall guy here. So I know you were a city councilman and you ran wanting to adopt something called CPR if you are elected. Talk about what that exactly will mean if you are elected indeed as treasurer.
Yes, don't want to get ahead of myself. The returns are looking great, and I'm thankful to all the voters who voted for me, regardless of what happens. But there are still a lot of ballots to be counted. But my plan all along has been the CPR plan to fix the treasurer's office. If people don't know, there's been a lot of turmoil and tumult in that office over the last several years, and it's time to restore faith. And my plan, CPR, is conduct a independent third-party audit of the treasurer's office to make sure that separation of duties are there and everything is kosher. And then P, professionalize it. Right now, there's no standards, no qualifications to be elected treasurer in the city of Torrance, and I think that's wrong. There should be some minimum qualifications. And finally, R is reduce the pay of the city treasurer's office, because right now I think the pay is too high for it.
Now, I know there's been talk about making the position part-time now. There is, what are your thoughts on keeping that position as a part-time role?
Well, I think it's actually probably the way to go. It's been successful in many of our surrounding cities, all the beach cities, Hawthorne, Palos Verdes Estates. They all have this model where they've got a part-time city treasurer that acts as a watchdog in an oversight role. And that's the platform that I campaigned on. Ultimately, I'll be working very closely with the city council to figure out what works best for the city of Torrance. But in my mind, that looks like it's probably the way to go, because what we have had in place, it hasn't worked. 2 of our last 3 city treasurers, unfortunately, have made mistakes that cost the city millions of dollars. And that's not sustainable going forward. So there needs to be some change.
What do you think you're going to draw upon from your experience as a city council person to bring into this role?
Relationships and knowledge of how the system works. Working with staff, working with the existing city council and the incoming city council. I've got relationships with them that'll be important in order to affect the change that the city needs. and also just having that experience in elected office, knowing how to move things forward and obtain a good result.
Now, in this position, you're not going to really have the policy making power that you had as a city council person. Do you feel like you're still going to have the power to make a change and to be effectual in making an impact in the city?
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. It is no longer a policy position that I would be fulfilling should the vote total hold up here. But that's where those relationships come in with the city council, work with them. I've spoken to all of them already. They know my plan. If I'm elected here tonight, the voters obviously like that plan as well. So I think it would be hard for the city council a year from now, when I approach them after I do all my due diligence and investigation into the status of the city treasurer's office, and make a recommendation a year from now for them to say, no, we don't want to reduce your pay. That would almost be unheard of.
Okay, so you must be pretty excited tonight, although it's a little bit early. How are you feeling about things?
I'm feeling optimistic. And again, I just want to thank everybody that put their faith in me and put their trust in me. Again, regardless of the result here tonight, I just really appreciate all the support I've gotten, and I love working with the people of Torrance. It's a great city.
All right, thank you very much. That was Tim Goodrich. He is the front runner right now for the position of city treasurer. And we'll check back with you later, maybe tonight, seeing how the vote is coming along. So back to you, Christine.
Thank you so much, Colleen. We are grateful to everyone who made their voices heard tonight by voting, and for staying up late to tune into this special broadcast of Torrance Today. Leslie Robbins will be back tomorrow for Torrance Today at its regular time at 4 p.m. with the latest updates from election 2022. From all of us here at Torrance City Cable, thank you and good night.
Of a race, and I think he's the coolest one in the room.